Hello, I'm Lulu. Welcome to Contented. Today I'm going to take you through the basics of how to get started with Contented. And I'm actually going to start with a quote from one of our amazing customers. Leanne Crozier is the director and co-founder of Decipher Group, and she told us recently, Contented's helped me fall in love with my job again, because now she's no longer half listening while she scribbles her notes. She's just there, fully present, and someone else is taking care of the rest. So my hope is that Contented will provide this for you too. It's a powerful tool and it can help you stay present, be more connected, and be able to do more strategic work. So we're really excited to have you here. Today you're going to learn the basics of getting started, and hopefully you can start to get a bit of an idea of how Contented can change your life as well. So I like to think of Contented as your team of one. So Contented really equips you with the feeling of having that team around you. So you have an assistant who can generate those ready-to-use documents. You have a coach who can teach you how to ask better questions or identify actions and accountability. And you also get insights, which are really helpful if you're trying to understand someone else's perspective, or get to know a stakeholder, a client, or if you're in sales as well. So this really helps you to focus on the person and on the conversation, and that leads to stronger relationships and spending time doing more strategic work. Now, we do all of this while keeping your data safe and secure as well. And yeah, we sort of think, most conversations are a lot more valuable than how we treat them. So we have them, we leave them, and what mattered the most sometimes disappears. So we're on a little bit of a mission to change that. So what we're covering today, we will do Contented 101. I will take you through a pre-recorded conversation, and then I'll actually do a demo of Contented in action, generating some outputs together, and I'll make sure I tell you where you can go for help and support. So this is our lovely co-founders, Hannah Hardy-Jones and Lucy Pink. So they have founded and built Contented right here in New Zealand, in Otautahi, Christchurch, which is just awesome. We're super proud to be a Kiwi company, and we have these two tenacious women who are our co-founders. So Hannah and Lucy believe that conversations are one of our most underused resources, and they're on a bit of a mission to change that. We have customers all around the world, including the UN, who used Contented recently to capture speaker sessions, panel discussions, and interviews with attendees at the UN Global Compact in Sri Lanka, which is just really cool. Yeah, we love that. So I also like to talk about musings because we use the word conversation a lot, but actually I have to show you that there is a lot of value in musings. So this is one of my favorite ways to use Contented. We call these rambles in our team, and essentially you can do a voice note using Contented, talk about any of the tasks on your plate, brainstorm some thoughts after a meeting, or even start drafting a report or a thought leadership piece. So it doesn't matter where you are. You could be walking around a construction site. You could be going for a walk on the beach. You can be pausing with lots of ums and ahs, and you'll be really amazed at what Contented can capture and turn that into. So we like to think of your conversation as, or your musing, as a resource. So that one conversation could become a meeting summary, action items, decision logs. We have over 50 pre-built templates. You also have the ability to just write prompts and ask questions, reminders about topics which might have come up in the meeting. And you also have the ability to have a custom template if you're on one of our team plans, where we can build a template into your workspace. So that's a really cool feature. So the initial setup, the first step is to sign up for your Contented workspace. And then I recommend bookmarking it for easy access. You'll then be prompted to download the Contented app on your mobile, and we also have our new Windows desktop app, which is awesome as well. I use that all the time. So how it works, recordings are made on your Contented app, either through your phone or your desktop. So those recordings are not actually stored on your device. It's only used to capture that recording, and then it's uploaded into your Contented workspace. And this is where you actually generate your outputs. And then the next step is sharing. So you can share in a few different ways. So within your workspace, you will see a little draft email button at the bottom of your outputs that connects to your email. You can also share if you're on a team plan with your colleagues if they've signed up for Contented, and you can download your outputs as Word or PDF documents. So we have some really amazing case studies on our website, and I've just included a few here. So we have Publica, which are a digital and creative agency. So their challenge was their discovery sessions, which generated lots of rich ideas, but capturing and organizing insights in real time really drained the energy away from the higher value strategic work. So the solution was Contented, which came along and recorded those meetings automatically, and then they got to skip the admin and jump straight into those insights. So the CEO captures early ideas on the go, and the whole team shows up fully present. Now, the results are faster, sharper client follow-ups, strategic clarity sooner, and a culture where everyone can just show up as they are, knowing Contented has their back. And I love this quote from Kelsey. So now I can just be in the conversation, listen, engage, and fully be there, then figure out what has to happen afterwards. That means a better conversation every time. So we love that. I've also included a case study here from Hurunui District Council. And now this is quite a special one because initially Contented was used to capture governance meetings and generate the minutes. Now that did cut that minute taking time in half, and they were able to use that time on projects in the community. And then they had an extreme weather event hit. And this was a use case that no one had planned for. They ended up using Contented to produce civil defence reports for regional and national officers in minutes with Contented. So I love that. And one of the quotes from Hamish, the CEO, he says it frees you up from mundane work so you can focus on what actually matters. And then he's also said, it's about value, isn't it? It pays for itself, which is really amazing. We love providing value to our customers, especially our council and government agencies. So Fortitude Private Wealth, this is another case study. So they really noticed that a client opens up when advisors put down their pen. So this is about a boutique Sydney-based wealth management practice with a small team and a culture that's really built on connection, and the quality of every conversation really matters. So being fully present with their clients isn't a nice to have. They feel it is fundamental to relationships. So with Contented handling the documentation, figures, action points, and nuance, advisors can maintain that eye contact and let discussions flow naturally, and clients share more and meetings are richer. So we absolutely love that for Fortitude. So if you'd like to take a look at any more, just to find some case studies in your industry, we have some great ones on the Contented website. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to dive in to give you a demo. So I will bring up my Contented workspace. It might look a little bit different to yours. It might be in different colors and a few extra buttons, but I will show you Contented live, and we can put that and generate some outputs together. Okay, so here we have my Contented workspace. Now I'll show you a few things. Firstly, we are in my conversation library. That's always a great place to start. But what you can see down the left-hand side are our modules. You can see I've got a few modules here you might not have. You will always have the insights module, human-centered, and depending on your membership, you might have marketing and wealth management as well. So these are essentially groups of templates grouped by theme. You'll spend a lot of your time in your insights module. Human-centered is really great if you're trying to get insights on one particular attendee. Marketing is also kind of like communications, but I'll touch on these top three in a demo shortly. You also have your conversation library, and you have the ability to add conversations. So if you have some recorded conversations, maybe in Teams, or even some transcripts before you had Contented, you can actually upload them now and use them in Contented by clicking Add Conversation. So what we'll do now, we start in the conversation library. There's a few things I'd like to show you from here. Firstly, you can combine recordings. So say you had a series of workshops with a client and you actually wanted to get a bit of a synthesis across those workshops, pull out the key themes, or the takeaways, or maybe you want to do what are the frequently asked questions across these meetings. You could combine your recordings. So you can combine up to 5. Now we can select, I'll select 4 here, select an action, and then you can click combine recordings. So what that will do is that will create an additional recording, and it will leave the original recordings. You can combine up to 5, so you can sort of batch them and then combine them again. We are releasing a new feature called multi-meeting insights, which will provide even more, which is awesome. So you can label under the label column, and this means you can filter by label, which is a really great way to organize your Contented workspace. I'm hoping you'll have dozens, if not hundreds, of recordings over the coming weeks and months. You can group your recordings based on a project, and you can see under my conversation library, I've got a few projects and examples. And the first step is always going into your conversation. So this is one which has been pre-recorded, and you just spend 1 minute preparing the transcripts, and then you can get really good outputs. So this step is super quick, but your outputs will be so much better. So you just work your way through these options here at the top. So you label your speakers. So I will do this here. I'll just label a couple. And then you can add people as an attendee. So if you add someone as an attendee, you've got a few more options. You can add a pronoun, which is great for gender neutral names because you don't want Contented to get that wrong. You can add a job title and a company name. So you could even add client if it's a client. And it gives Contented just that little bit more context. And if you're wanting to get insights about an attendee, it's great if you have them added as an attendee, and it helps in the human-centered module because you can specify which attendee you would like to get your insights on. Now we just work our way through these options again. Now we can generate our entities, which is a bit like a spell check. So that's going through any key names, products, stakeholders, or locations, and making sure Contented has captured that accurately. So you can click into a name if it's incorrect, if you need that updated. So say Diane has 2 N's, you can click update, and that will update across your whole transcript. Now from here, you can also share your recording if someone in your team has logged in and signed up for Contented, and we will go ahead and generate some outputs now. So this was a demo meeting, but a planning meeting for a festival called Rhymes and Wines. So what we'll do is we'll actually generate quite a few outputs simultaneously. We'll do concise summary, detailed summary, action items, decision logs, SWOT analysis. The risk matrix is based on a 300-page risk management framework. I will shout out to the visual templates, which I really love. So Family Tree is really great for advisors or wealth managers who are working with those sort of complex family structures and they want it, a visual representation of the family tree. Mind map, I will show you mind map. So with mind map, it's really good if you add an additional instruction. So I'm just going to add key topics discussed. And if you see the additional instructions right at the top here, that's where you can be a little bit more specific if you'd like Contented to focus on one part of that conversation, or you can tell Contented you'd actually like the output in French or another language. So you can add that here under instructions. Timeline is great for project managers. And then you've got your meeting minutes, which are more formal, great for sort of governance notes, governance meetings. But we'll have a look now at what's been generated. You can see it organizes everything really nicely. It's really quick with how it has produced these outputs. Now the actions, we tend to sort of go overboard with the actions rather than underdoing it. If you feel like there's too many actions, you can edit to remove any, or you can add actions here as well. And that goes for all of our outputs. You can edit them apart from our visual outputs at this stage. But all of the text outputs like this, you can edit. Now with the decision log, I really love how it provides the key decisions, and it also provides the rationale behind those decisions from what it has understood from the conversation, which is really cool. The SWOT analysis is definitely a fave of mine. And we have our beautiful mind map. So we are working to make the mind map editable, but at this stage you can switch the orientation. And I will just let you know at this point, these outputs are not stored in your workspace. So if you do like the outputs, download them by clicking on the download button in the bottom right-hand corner, and you can choose which output and whether you download them as a Word document or PDF. Our tables can be downloaded as a CSV, which means you can edit them in Excel if you like. And you're not actually limited to these templates. So we do have over 50 pre-built templates, but you've got the option to write your own as well. So if you look up next to the templates button, there is make your own. So here you can ask questions. So what was said about budgets? And I will show you the result. And you can be really specific. So if you would like to say draft an email, you can be specific about the tone, the audience. If you do audience, it will change the language slightly. So if it was, say, an executive leadership team, it might make the wording a little bit more strategic. You might want to avoid any jargon, so you can include that as well. But I'll just scroll down to show you that output. We've asked a question, what was said about budgets? And here it's come back and it's told us what was said about budgets. So this is where you can say, draft a report using the following headings and be really specific about what you'd like Contented to include in that output. You also have access to the shortcuts library. So if we just click View Shortcuts Library, we have so many great shortcuts here. Now, shortcuts are similar to templates, but you can just make them more custom to your needs. So we have lots of pre-made shortcuts, but you can also create your own. And if you are on a team plan, you can share those shortcuts with your team. That's really great for consistency. So say you would like an email follow-up with a client after a discovery session, you could actually craft a shortcut that says draft an email to the client, summarizing this discovery session and next steps and actions, and then you can share that with the team so it's always in a consistent format. Now that's a very simple shortcut. I'll show you a couple of these other shortcuts which are a little bit more complex, and I think the more confident you get with shortcuts, the better you will become at writing them. But let's look in the strategic category. We've got key insights and takeaways. So we're going to use this shortcut and we're going to apply it to our conversation. Now, a favorite for me, a favorite shortcut is actually analyzing my performance after I have facilitated a training session or a new discovery session with a client. So I always use a shortcut which is around, getting some feedback about any questions which I could have asked better or any points where engagement wasn't as good. So you will find you've got some favorites in there as well. So here it has pulled out those top insights from the shortcuts library. Now I will pop into the human-centered module. So we are going to select Lexi, and we're just going to generate all of these because they are all great outputs. So participant profile is really great if you have a new client or a new stakeholder that you're working with. Key themes is any themes that are coming out of this conversation. So these are also great if you're doing interviews, so candidate interviews. You've got motivation map, empathy map, struggles and needs. There are a lot of good outputs here. So let's take a look at what those look like. It's great if you're doing handover to someone in your team and they can get to know this client based on some of these outputs. Key themes pulls up quotes, which I really love. Empathy map pulls out a quote and then it tells you a little bit more about what that person might be thinking or feeling. You do have to be a little cautious of anyone who uses a lot of sarcasm because contented might not be so good with capturing the sarcasm and knowing it's sarcasm, but that can be a little bit funny sometimes. You've got the struggles here and you can actually listen to, where in that conversation that person talked about their struggles, which is really cool. And the needs is awesome as well. So yeah, so the human-centered module you might not use as much, but it is really great. There are some sort of hidden gems, and I just encourage you as you're getting to know Contented just to try out these different modules as well. Try out as many outputs as you can. You might be surprised at the ones that you really like. And then the marketing module. So think of marketing as well as communications. It could be internal marketing, so sharing positive news stories with your wider company, or you could be using it for public marketing as well. So my favorite thing about the marketing module is how Contented can actually pull out the most interesting news angles. So it will actually have a go at creating a news angle based on what was said in that conversation. Now, this was originally put together for journalists who wanted to create some news articles from councils and they didn't want to listen to the entire council meetings. So now Contented can pull out the most interesting news angles. So let's have a look. There's one here, the permit problem, why construction timelines and council approvals need to be locked in together. So I'm going to select that news angle and I'm going to create some outputs. So we're going to go down here, we're going to create social posts, a concise news story, a press release. Cheat sheet is really great if you've attended training and you'd just like to pull out sort of a quick reference guide with the essential information. You can also do an in-depth study, a smart summary, which is perfect if you're really busy and you just want to pull out those main points into those digestible takeaways, and a LinkedIn article. So if you're cooking dinner, going for a walk, you might have a musing and you can actually come into the marketing module and turn that musing into a LinkedIn article, which is a really great way to use these outputs. So we'll just take a look at the social posts, the detailed post, the press release, and we've got our LinkedIn article. So I don't want to overwhelm you by telling you too much. I just want to give you the basics to get started. So if we just recap the main things that I've taken you through today, make sure you bookmark your Contented workspace for easy access. Make sure you take a minute to label those speakers, add your attendees and review the entities. Your outputs will be so much better. Remember to download your outputs after each session and share them. And we have a wonderful human support team, no bots. So you can reach out to us through the support widget, which I'll show you in a moment, and just start to build that habit of using Contented and let Contented do the rest. So this is our support widget. You'll see it in the bottom right-hand corner above the download button, and this is where you can access our knowledge hub. You can ask a question and you might see screenshots or videos and step-by-step instructions, and you can also chat with our amazing support team. We also have our email address, support@contentedai.com, and we have some really great product newsletters and announcements, so stay tuned for that. So I would love to get you to start thinking about how you will use Contented in the next week. So even get out a calendar after this and start looking up your upcoming meetings. Remember, you don't have to wait for a meeting. You could just do a musing just to see how it all works. But try it in your different meetings. It could be a team meeting, it could be a client meeting, it could be a musing after a client meeting, just about thoughts, or debrief with yourself and then turn that into an output. So as an example, with this conversation, I could have turned this into an email that goes out to customers or anyone who's missed the session, just to give them key takeaways. I could create a run sheet for someone else who might need to facilitate. I can create a mind map, a training guide, a LinkedIn article, and even a coaching analysis for myself as the presenter. And I'll just finish with this awesome quote from Meredith, who is the general manager of corporate services at Apollo, one of our awesome customers. So Meredith has said, we're all able to do more of the stuff that's going to make the boat go faster, which we absolutely love. And I would just love you to think about what you would do with that extra time in your week and what that thing is that will make your boat go faster. So I have really loved taking you through your onboarding today. Thank you so much for joining me. And please reach out if you have any questions, any troubleshooting. We're here to help. And I hope you love Contented as much as we do. Thanks so much. Take care.